What if I told you that animals, wild, majestic, and free, can suffer from the same silent killer that haunts humans? Cancer. It's easy to think of it as a disease unique to us, born from our modern lifestyles. But cancer doesn't care about species, diet, or intelligence. From household pets to deep-sea creatures, it lurks wherever life exists. In dogs, it can appear as bone tumors or lymphoma, stealing away beloved companions. In cats, it can emerge silently, hidden behind graceful movements. Tasmanian devils face a horrific twist, a contagious facial cancer that spreads when they bite each other, turning a natural behavior into a death sentence. Yet, not all creatures are equal in this biological lottery. Elephants, despite their massive size and countless cells, almost never get cancer. Whales, with lifespans far longer than ours, show a mysterious resistance too. How can such huge animals avoid a disease that should, statistically, kill them more often? Scientists call this Mystery Pedo's paradox, and it challenges everything we thought we knew about biology. Maybe nature already holds the secrets we've been chasing, the keys to stopping cancer once and for all. But before we unlock that mystery, we need to understand the basics. What cancer truly is, how it spreads, and why it exists at all. Because this story isn't just about animals. It's about life itself and its most ancient enemy. Before we dive deeper, take a second to like, subscribe, and join our mission to uncover the hidden truths of the animal world. Every episode of Animal Truths reveals the unseen connections between human and animal life, how their struggles mirror our own, how nature hides answers to problems we still don't fully understand. By subscribing, you're not just following a channel. You're joining a growing community of people who care about life in all its forms, from the smallest ant to the largest whale, and who believe that understanding animals helps us understand ourselves. Because somewhere out there, in a forest, in the ocean, or even in your own home, an animal may already hold the secret to beating one of humanity's greatest diseases. So hit that bell icon, and let's begin our journey into the wild side of cancer, where science meets survival, and nature's hidden wisdom may hold the cure. Cancer, a word that chills us, but what is it really? At its core, cancer is not an outside invader like a virus or a parasite. It's a betrayal from within. Every living thing is made of cells, the building blocks of life. These cells are born, perform their duties, and die when their time is up. But sometimes something goes wrong. A mutation slips into the genetic code, a typo in life's instruction manual. And instead of dying, the cell starts dividing uncontrollably, refusing to stop. This rogue cell becomes the seed of a tumor, a glitch in nature's perfect machine. Humans get cancer, but so do dogs, cats, whales, even wild animals that never see pollution or processed food. From sea turtles to elephants, cancer has been quietly shaping life for millions of years. In fact, scientists have found evidence of cancer in dinosaur fossils more than 70 million years old. It's not a modern disease. It's ancient, and it's not always deadly. Some species have found ways to resist it, even suppress it entirely. How? That's what researchers are racing to understand, because the answers locked inside animal biology may one day save countless human lives. Cancer isn't just a disease. It's a story of survival, evolution, and the eternal battle between order and chaos inside every living cell. Cancer isn't just a human problem. It's a biological consequence of being alive. Every creature that grows, heals, or reproduces through cell division carries the same hidden risk. Because the same process that keeps us alive can also betray us. From the smallest mouse to the mighty blue whale, every organism must constantly copy its DNA to survive. But every time that happens, there's a chance for a mistake, a mutation. Most mutations are harmless or quickly repaired. But occasionally, one slips past nature's safeguards, letting a cell break the rules. That's where cancer begins, not from poison, pollution, or bad luck alone, but from the very logic of life itself. A dog chasing a ball, a cat grooming in the sun, an elephant walking through the savannah. All of them are running a biological race between repair and mutation. And when the balance tips, tumors form. Scientists have even discovered that the rate of cancer doesn't scale with size. An elephant with 100 times more cells than a human doesn't get 100 times more cancer. In fact, elephants get less. This paradox, known as Peto's paradox, may hold the key to unlocking nature's best anti-cancer defenses. So when we look at animals and ask, can they get cancer? The answer is yes. But when we ask, how do some animals beat it? That's where the Raoul story begins. Inside every living creature, trillions of cells work together like a vast, silent orchestra. Each cell knows its part, when to grow, when to divide, and when to die. It's a delicate balance written in the language of DNA. But sometimes a single note goes off-key. A random mutation, a strand of DNA slightly miscopied or damaged from sunlight, toxins, or even stress can change the behavior of a cell. Instead of obeying the rules, it starts to multiply endlessly. It ignores signals that say stop. It refuses to die. It begins to consume the body that gave it life. This is the origin of cancer, a rebellion at the cellular level. In humans, we often link this to smoking, chemicals, or poor diet. But in animals, it happens too, sometimes for the same reasons, sometimes for none at all. A whale's massive body endures millions of cell divisions every day. A dog's skin is bombarded with sunlight. A bird's lungs face polluted air. Each is a potential spark, but not all sparks become flames. Animals have evolved powerful defense systems, DNA repair mechanisms, specialized immune cells, and even programmed self-destruction, called apoptosis, that sacrifices a cell to save the body. Yet when these systems fail, a tumor forms. It might hide in the liver, the lungs, or deep inside the bones. And because animals can't tell us where it hurts, these silent growths often go unnoticed until it's too late. In nature, cancer is not a disease of evil. It's a reminder of the price of complexity. The more advanced and long-lived an organism becomes, the higher the odds that one of its countless cells will forget its role and turn rogue. It's not infection. It's not contagion. It's life, turned against itself. Why does cancer even exist? If evolution has shaped life for millions of years, why hasn't nature simply deleted it? The unsettling truth is, cancer isn't a flaw. It's a byproduct of life itself. Every animal, from an insect to a whale, is built from living cells that constantly divide to grow, repair, and renew. Each division copies billions of DNA letters with astonishing precision. But perfection has a price, because no copying process, no matter how advanced, is ever flawless. Sometimes a single letter goes wrong, then another, and another. Most of these mistakes are caught and fixed instantly. Cells have built-in proofreaders, enzymes that scan and repair DNA damage. But occasionally, one mutation sneaks past the guard, then two, then 10. If those mutations strike the right combination of genes, the ones that tell cells when to grow and when to stop, the result is chaos. Cells forget their limits. They multiply endlessly. They become, in essence, immortal. This means that the very mechanism that makes life possible also plants the seed of its potential destruction. Growth and repair are double-edged swords. You can't evolve complex organs, intelligence, or long lifespans without also increasing the risk of something going wrong at the cellular level. Even plants get tumors. So do starfish, sharks, and elephants. Cancer is not just a human disease. It's a universal shadow cast by the light of evolution. It's not that nature failed to prevent it. It's that preventing it entirely would mean ending the ability to grow, adapt, and survive. So, when you think about it, cancer isn't an invader. It's part of us, a reminder that the same forces that give us life also carry the risk of its unraveling. A mutation alone doesn't always cause cancer. It's the perfect storm of genes, time, and environment that pushes a cell over the edge. Inside every animal body, billions of cells divide and repair daily. Each time, they face silent threats. Rays from the sun, toxins in food, stress hormones, or random molecular errors. Most cells endure, but some don't. Take sunlight, for example. Its ultraviolet rays pierce deep into skin and fur, slicing through DNA like invisible blades. In wild seals, sea lions, and even cats who bask too long in the sun, UV exposure mutates skin cells, setting the stage for melanoma. Then there's pollution, a human fingerprint on nature's chemistry. Industrial chemicals, pesticides, and plastic residues slip into rivers and soil. Fish living near polluted waters have been found with liver tumors. Beluga whales in the St. Lawrence River suffer cancers eerily similar to those in factory workers. Even the air that bats breathe in their caves can carry fungal spores that cause DNA damage. But triggers don't always come from outside. Sometimes the danger grows within. When animals age, their cells weaken. Repair systems slow down. Oxidative stress, the wear and tear from breathing oxygen, accumulates. In older dogs, cats, elephants, and humans alike, the defense mechanisms that once destroyed mutated cells start missing their targets. It's like a tired security guard falling asleep at his post. And then there's viruses, microscopic hijackers that can rewrite the genetic code. Some viruses slip their DNA into host cells, switching on cancer genes. Koalas, for instance, are being struck by a retrovirus that causes leukemia-like diseases. Even poultry and rodents carry viruses capable of triggering tumors. All these triggers share one cruel truth. Cancer doesn't need a reason to exist. It only needs an opportunity. And in the endless complexity of life, opportunities are everywhere. Not all animals face cancer equally. Some species seem cursed by biology, others mysteriously immune. Why do certain creatures fall victim while others defy the odds? Let's start with Tasmanian devils, small, fierce marsupials of Australia. In the 1990s, something horrifying spread through their populations, a contagious cancer. It began as a single facial tumor, but evolved to leap from one devil to another through biting, like a living parasite made of cells. Their limited genetic diversity meant their immune systems couldn't tell friend from foe, so the cancer spread unchecked. Then there are dogs, our closest companions. Selective breeding for appearance has made some breeds genetically prone to tumors. Golden retrievers and boxers, for instance, are notorious for developing lymphomas. In contrast, mixed breed dogs tend to have more genetic variety and fewer cancers. Cats, especially those infected with feline leukemia virus, are at risk too. The virus weakens their immune defenses, allowing cancers of the blood and bone marrow to thrive. Even wild lions and leopards in zoos have shown similar patterns when exposed to these viruses. Marine life isn't spared either. Beluga whales in polluted estuaries, bottom-feeding fish in toxic harbors, and sea turtles with fibropapillomatosis all reveal the same truth. The environment can tip the balance between health and disease. But curiously, some large animals seem almost immune. Elephants, despite having 100 times more cells than humans, rarely get cancer. Why? Their genomes contain extra copies of a powerful tumor-suppressing gene called TP53, a built-in safeguard that kills off damaged cells before they turn deadly. The pattern is clear. Size, lifespan, genetics, and environment intertwine to shape cancer's reach. In the grand story of evolution, some species drew the short straw, while others evolved a fortress within. At first glance, it seems obvious. The bigger the animal, the more cells it has, and the more chances for something to go wrong. So elephants, whales, and rhinos should be riddled with cancer, right? Yet reality defies the math. This mystery has a name: Peto's paradox. In the 1970s, Oxford epidemiologist Richard Peto noticed something extraordinary. While small animals like mice often die of cancer, massive animals, blue whales, elephants, even humans, don't get proportionally more tumors. Somehow, evolution has leveled the playing field. How? Large animals evolved extra layers of protection. Elephants, for instance, possess around 20 copies of the TP53 gene, a gene that acts as the cell's guardian. When DNA damage occurs, TP53 commands the cell to repair itself or self-destruct. Humans have just one copy. Elephants have 20. It's as if evolution built them with a massive biological firewall. Whales, the true giants of the ocean, have evolved differently. Some species, like the bowhead whale, can live over 200 years with almost no sign of cancer. Their secret lies in super-efficient DNA repair and a slow metabolism that reduces cellular stress. Meanwhile, naked mole rats, tiny creatures living underground, possess a unique jelly-like molecule called hyaluronin, which stops cells from overcrowding, a natural barrier to tumor growth. Peto's paradox teaches us a profound truth. Cancer is not inevitable. It's a flaw evolution can solve, given time and necessity. Big, long-lived species simply couldn't afford the luxury of genetic fragility, so nature rewired their biology. And humans? We stand in between, clever enough to study these defenses, but still vulnerable. Perhaps, hidden in the genes of elephants or whales, lies the blueprint for curing cancer itself. Some of the most mysterious causes of cancer don't come from the animal's own body, but from invaders, tiny, invisible particles that hijack life itself. Viruses. In humans, we know names like HPV or hepatitis B. But in the animal kingdom, the viral footprint runs deep and wide. From cats and chickens to fish and primates, Viruses have been quietly shaping the story of cancer for millions of years. Take the feline leukemia virus, one of the leading causes of cancer in domestic cats. It spreads through grooming, shared bowls, even a mother's milk, turning simple acts of affection into silent transmissions. In poultry, the Mareks disease virus can cause deadly lymphomas, devastating flocks worldwide. And in fish, researchers have found viral DNA linked to liver and skin tumors, proving that no habitat, land or sea, is immune. These viruses don't just cause random mutations. They rewrite the host's genetic code, inserting their own instructions into DNA. It's biological espionage on a microscopic scale. And once embedded, those changes can flip a healthy cell into a runaway factory of uncontrolled growth. But evolution has fought back. Some species, like elephants and naked mole rats, have built up powerful defenses that block viral replication and kill off damaged cells early. The arms race between virus and host is constant, a war hidden in every breath, every drop of blood, every cell division. Understanding viral cancers in animals doesn't just help save pets or wildlife. It could unlock new treatments for humans too, because when nature fights back, it often leaves behind the blueprints for survival. Inside every living creature lies a story written in DNA, the code that builds life, repairs cells, and passes traits from one generation to the next. But what happens when that story is misprinted? A single letter out of place, a damaged strand unrepaired, and the script of life turns into a ticking time bomb. That's how cancer often begins. Genetic mutations are the silent architects of disease. In the wild, they can arise from sunlight, pollution, toxins, or simply from errors during cell division. Over a lifetime, these small glitches can accumulate, turning ordinary cells into rebels that ignore the body's rules. In whales, turtles, or lions, the process is the same. A spark in the genetic code ignites an uncontrollable chain reaction. Some animals, however, are evolutionary marvels at suppressing these errors. Elephants carry over 20 copies of the p53 gene, a powerful tumor suppressor often called the guardian of the genome. Humans have just one. This army of genetic guardians allows elephants to repair DNA damage efficiently, which may explain why such massive animals rarely develop cancer despite their size. In contrast, Tasmanian devils lack strong genetic diversity, making them vulnerable to transmissible facial tumors that spread like wildfire between individuals. It's not just bad luck, it's a reminder that evolution itself shapes who gets sick and who survives. Every mutation tells a story of survival or failure, of nature experimenting at the edge of life's code. And by decoding these genetic errors in animals, scientists are learning how to prevent, treat, and even reverse cancers in humans. Because the same molecules that betray life might one day help save it. The wild might look pure and untouched, mountains, forests, oceans, yet beneath that beauty hides a chemical battlefield. Just like humans, animals are surrounded by substances that can quietly alter their biology. These are environmental carcinogens, agents that trigger cancer through long-term exposure, invisible contact, or even the food animals eat. In industrial zones, polluted rivers carry heavy metals and toxins that seep into the tissues of fish and amphibians. Mercury, arsenic, and oil residues cause cellular damage, deformities, and cancers that ripple up the food chain. On land, pesticides and herbicides drift through air and soil, entering the systems of birds, rodents, and predators alike. A single contaminated seed can begin a chain of mutations that ends in a tumor years later. Even in remote habitats, danger lingers. Volcanic gases, natural radiation, and toxic plants can act as nature's own carcinogens. Grazing animals that feed on bracken ferns, for example, ingest compounds linked to bladder and stomach cancer. Marine mammals, exposed to industrial runoff, store pollutants in their fat, an invisible burden that accumulates over a lifetime. Some of these pollutants never disappear. They persist for decades, circulating through ecosystems, crossing species, and even reaching human communities that depend on wildlife for food. When scientists discover cancer in wild fish, sea turtles, or birds, it's often a signal, a biological warning flare that something in the environment is deeply wrong. Every tumor found in nature isn't just a medical event. It's a reflection of our shared world, of how invisible poisons move through air, soil, and sea. Studying these cancers doesn't just reveal how animals get sick. It shows how deeply connected their health is to our own survival. When we think of cancer, we often imagine random genetic mistakes or environmental toxins. But for many animals, the trigger is far more cunning: a virus. Some viruses don't just infect. They reprogram their host's DNA, turning healthy cells into ticking time bombs. One of the most famous examples is feline leukemia virus, FeLV, in cats. It spreads through saliva and grooming, quietly inserting its genetic material into a cat's cells. For months or even years, it can remain dormant until one day it switches on, disrupting normal cell growth and leading to deadly lymphomas. In the wild, avian leukosis virus haunts flocks of chickens and wild birds, while hepatitis viruses in mammals can inflame the liver and spark cancerous growths. Some species of fish and reptiles also host retroviruses that act like tiny saboteurs, copying themselves endlessly and leaving behind genetic scars that distort normal function. Even more astonishing, some of these viruses pass through generations, silently embedded in DNA, reshaping evolution itself. Scientists estimate that around 8% of the human genome is made of ancient viral fragments. The same may be true for countless animals. But the story isn't all doom. Many animals have evolved remarkable defenses. Koalas, for instance, are in the middle of a viral invasion. A retrovirus is spreading through their population, yet some individuals are already showing genetic resistance, adapting in real time. These viral cancers remind us that disease is not always an outside enemy. Sometimes it's a genetic ghost carried within, a message from ancient infections that never truly left. By studying how viruses cause cancer in animals, scientists are uncovering secrets about immunity, evolution, and how life itself fights back against the smallest, most insidious invaders. Not all cancers come from the outside world. Some begin deep within, passed silently from parent to offspring, carried in the very code of life. These are the genetic cancers, hidden time bombs written into DNA long before birth. In animals, just like in humans, gene mutations can set the stage for cancer decades before symptoms appear. The culprits are often broken versions of tumor-suppressing genes, the body's natural defense system against uncontrolled cell growth. When these guardians fail, the result can be catastrophic. For example, certain breeds of dogs like golden retrievers Boxers and Bernese mountain dogs are heartbreakingly prone to cancers such as lymphoma and mast cell tumors. Scientists have traced this vulnerability to inherited mutations, flawed copies of protective genes passed down through selective breeding. The very traits that make these breeds lovable and distinct also make them genetically fragile. Among birds, research has shown that captive parrots and budgerigars sometimes inherit tendencies toward liver or reproductive tumors, likely due to small gene pools. And in cattle, certain family lines show patterns of eye cancer, where light pigmentation and heritable defects combine to increase risk. Even fish and invertebrates aren't exempt. Some species show inherited mutations that disrupt normal cell division, creating lines of animals more vulnerable to tumors generation after generation. Yet nature also provides hope. Elephants, despite having thousands more cells than humans, rarely develop cancer. Why? Their DNA holds multiple copies of a super tumor suppressor gene called TP53, which destroys damaged cells before they can mutate. It's a genetic fortress, proof that evolution can engineer powerful cancer resistance. Understanding these inherited mutations is more than just veterinary science. It's a map of evolution itself. Each genetic error tells a story of survival, trade-offs, and adaptation. Cancer isn't always hidden in the genes. Sometimes it's written in the world around us. The air, the water, the soil, all can quietly conspire against life. Just like humans, animals live in an ocean of invisible threats. Chemical pollutants, radiation, industrial waste, and toxins that alter their cells over time. Every breath, every sip, every step through contaminated ground can introduce microscopic enemies. In coastal waters, beluga whales have been found with alarmingly high rates of liver cancer, the result of decades of chemical runoff and industrial pollution from nearby cities. Their bodies, once symbols of purity, now act like biological sponges absorbing humanity's mistakes. In forests and farmlands, pesticides and herbicides linger in the grass and streams. Cows grazing on contaminated feed or fish swimming through pesticide-laced water accumulate carcinogens inside their tissues. Over time, their immune systems falter and cells begin to mutate beyond repair. Even wild predators, eagles, otters, foxes, inherit these poisons through the food chain, a process scientists call biomagnification, where toxins grow more potent as they move up. On land, urban animals face different dangers. City dogs exposed to secondhand smoke develop lung cancer at rates similar to their owners. Street cats that sleep near car exhaust vents inhale benzene and soot particles every day. And birds nesting on utility poles face chronic radiation exposure, a modern cost of adaptation. Even light and noise pollution play subtle roles. Chronic exposure to artificial light disrupts hormonal cycles that regulate cell repair, while continuous urban noise raises stress hormones, weakening cellular resilience. But the tragedy is also a warning. These cancers are not random. They are signals, biological alarms ringing from ecosystems pushed beyond balance. When animals develop tumors linked to pollutants, they become sentinels, telling us what our world is becoming. Not all cancers are born from chemicals or chance. Some are infectious, carried by microscopic invaders that rewrite life from within. In the shadowy world of viruses, a few have learned a dark art, turning infection into mutation, and mutation into cancer. It begins quietly. A virus slips into an animal's cell, perhaps through a wound, saliva, or even mating. Once inside, it hijacks the host's genetic code, forcing it to replicate endlessly. Most viruses simply kill or exhaust the cells they infect, but a few stay. They integrate their own genetic material into the host's DNA, permanently altering it. And when those viral genes activate, they can push cells into uncontrolled division, the very definition of cancer. In cats, feline leukemia virus, FALV, is one of the most studied examples. It's a retrovirus, a cousin of HIV, that spreads through grooming, bites, and shared food. Infected cats may appear healthy for months, even years, before tumors quietly begin to grow in their lymph nodes and bones. For domestic and wild felines alike, it's a stealth killer. Among chickens, Marek's disease virus creates tumors in nerves and organs, spreading rapidly through feathers and dust. In fish, herpes-like viruses cause skin cancers that can devastate entire aquaculture farms. And in humans' closest primate relatives, simian T-cell leukemia viruses reveal how deeply this ancient mechanism runs across species. Even the Tasmanian devil's facial tumor disease, though not caused by a virus, behaves like one, a contagious cancer spreading through bites. It's nature's grim reminder of how thin the line is between infection and mutation. Scientists now study these viral cancers not only to protect animals, but to understand how similar processes ignite cancer in humans. The same genetic switches that a virus flips in a cat's cell can also misfire in ours. It's a mirror, one that reflects how deeply connected life's vulnerabilities truly are. Every living being carries a genetic code, a long, elegant script of life written in DNA. But sometimes, even the most perfect script can glitch. Mutations, tiny errors in DNA, can turn normal cells into killers. In animals, this can mean the start of one of nature's most silent and persistent diseases, cancer. Unlike infectious diseases, which come from outside invaders like viruses or bacteria, cancer begins within. It's a rebellion from inside the body. A cell divides when it shouldn't, ignores the stop signals, and multiplies endlessly. Soon, it becomes a tumor, an organism within an organism. In Tasmanian devils, this has taken an even stranger form. Their facial tumor disease spreads like wildfire, not just through cells dividing, but through bites. When devils fight, living cancer cells jump from one animal to another, continuing their dark lineage. It's one of the few known contagious cancers in nature. Elephants, on the other hand, seem almost immune. Despite their massive size and trillions of cells, they rarely get cancer. Why? Scientists discovered they have extra copies of a tumor-suppressing gene called P53, nature's own anti-cancer guardian. It's as if evolution gave them a built-in army to patrol for rogue cells. Even marine animals aren't spared. Sea lions have been found with cancers linked to pollution, chemicals disrupting their DNA. And certain fish develop liver tumors due to contaminated waters. It's a reminder that what humans release in nature doesn't stay contained. It flows through the veins of every ecosystem. Cancer in animals reveals a truth that cuts across species. No creature is entirely safe from the flaws of biology. Life is resilient, but also fragile. Evolution builds complexity, yet within that complexity lie the seeds of self-destruction. Not all invaders come screaming through wounds or riding on the wind. Some slip quietly inside, unseen, patient parasites. These organisms don't just infect. They move in, feeding, hiding, and often manipulating their hosts in ways that seem almost diabolical. Across the animal kingdom, parasitism is one of evolution's oldest survival strategies. From worms that twist through intestines to protozoa that swim through blood, parasites have mastered the art of living off others. For many animals, infection is not a rare event. It's a way of life. In the Serengeti, wildebeests and zebras carry worms that sap their energy, making them slower targets for predators. In the Amazon, fish fall victim to leeches and protozoans that feed on their gills. Even in the depths of the ocean, crustaceans host parasitic barnacles that take over their bodies, sometimes even replacing their reproductive organs and controlling their behavior. Some parasites go further, manipulating their hosts' minds. The protozoan Toxoplasma gondii infects rats and rewires their brains, making them unafraid of cats, the very predator that will eat them, allowing the parasite to complete its life cycle inside the cat's gut. It's not just survival, it's strategy. Parasites can also cause devastating diseases in wildlife. Heartworms clog the arteries of dogs and wolves. Trypanosomes, spread by tsetse flies, cause sleeping sickness in African mammals. And malaria parasites, the same ones that torment humans, also infect birds, reptiles, and even bats. Yet, parasites aren't just villains. They play a role in shaping ecosystems, controlling population sizes, and even driving evolution. Animals evolve defenses, thicker skin, stronger immune systems, grooming behaviors to fight back. The constant arms race between host and parasite keeps nature in balance. In every jungle, forest, or ocean, this battle continues invisibly. To the naked eye, an animal may seem healthy. Imagine a world without bees. No buzzing in the flowers, no golden hum in the fields, just silence. Yet this silence isn't imaginary. Across the planet, bees are disappearing in a phenomenon scientists call colony collapse disorder, a mysterious wave of die-offs that has shaken ecosystems and agriculture alike. Bees are more than honeymakers. They are master pollinators, responsible for fertilizing nearly 1/3 of the world's food crops, fruits, nuts, vegetables, and even the seeds that feed livestock. Their work sustains the web of life. But over the last few decades, something has gone terribly wrong. Entire colonies have been found empty, queen alive, but workers gone. No bodies, no clear signs of attack, just abandonment. Scientists scrambled to find answers, uncovering a storm of factors all converging at once. First, pesticides, especially neonicotinoids, interfere with bees' navigation systems, making it impossible for them to find their way back to the hive. Then, parasites like the Varroa destructor might invade colonies, feeding on bee blood and spreading deadly viruses. Add to that fungal infections, malnutrition, and stress from commercial transport, as hives are trucked across countries to pollinate crops, and the perfect storm emerges. And hovering above it all is climate change. Rising temperatures disrupt flowering seasons, leaving bees without food when they need it most. Droughts, storms, and shifting ecosystems make survival even harder. The collapse of bees isn't just an insect tragedy, it's a warning for us. Without bees, wild plants would struggle to reproduce, and global food systems could face collapse. Almonds, apples, coffee, and countless crops depend on their delicate dance. But there is hope. Around the world, farmers, scientists, and conservationists are taking action, reducing pesticide use, planting bee-friendly flowers, and restoring habitats where pollinators can thrive. Even small efforts, like gardens filled with native blooms. Cows, pigs, chickens, goats, these animals feed the world. But behind the fences and farmyards lies a quieter crisis, the constant battle against livestock diseases. From foot and mouth disease to swine flu, from avian influenza to mad cow disease, the animals we rely on most are often the ones standing closest to the front lines of infection. Livestock live in close quarters, sometimes in the tens of thousands per farm. This density creates a perfect storm. Pathogens spread quickly, mutate easily, and often jump species, sometimes even reaching humans. The same industrial systems that made global food abundant have also made disease outbreaks harder to contain. Take foot and mouth disease, FMD, a highly contagious virus that affects cloven-hoofed animals. When it hits, it spreads like wildfire through air, contact, or even contaminated clothing. The result: fever, blisters, weight loss, and economic devastation. Millions of animals have been culled in attempts to stop its spread. Then there's avian influenza, or bird flu. In poultry farms where chickens live wing to wing, a single infected bird can unleash disaster. The H5N1 strain has killed millions of birds and occasionally crossed over to humans, raising alarms of a future pandemic. Swine flu, or H1N1, emerged from pig populations but soon became a global human outbreak in 2009. It was a stark reminder that what happens in barns can echo across continents. And let's not forget bovine spongiform encephalopathy, BSE, better known as mad cow disease, a fatal brain disorder linked to feeding cattle the remains of other animals, proving how human shortcuts can backfire catastrophically. Livestock diseases aren't just animal issues, they're economic and ethical ones. Each outbreak can wipe out farmers' livelihoods, threaten food security, and force mass cullings that raise deep moral questions. Yet there's progress. Vaccination programs, improved biosecurity, and surveillance network. Beneath the ocean's calm surface lies a hidden battlefield, one that marine mammals never chose. Whales, dolphins, and seals live in a world we imagine as pure, vast, and untouched. Yet the reality beneath the waves tells a darker story. Every breath they take, every fish they consume, now carries a chemical burden. Industrial pollutants, heavy metals, oil residues, and microplastics seep silently into their food chain. These toxins accumulate through a process known as biomagnification, growing stronger and deadlier with each step up the chain until they reach the top predators, the very creatures we admire for their intelligence and grace. Scientists examining stranded dolphins have found alarmingly high levels of PCBs, toxic industrial compounds banned decades ago, but still lingering in our oceans. These chemicals disrupt hormones, weaken immune systems, and may trigger cancerous growths in marine tissues. In orcas, entire pods have been documented with immune deficiencies and reproductive failure linked to toxin exposure, an invisible cancer epidemic spreading through polluted seas. Even marine biologists diving in these waters now find themselves studying a paradox: how the same ocean that sustains life can also seed its destruction. The whale's massive body, once a symbol of endurance and longevity, is now a living record of human pollution, a biological time capsule of our industrial age. And yet, nature still fights back. Some marine species show remarkable detoxifying adaptations, enzymes that can neutralize certain chemicals faster than we can. But even these defenses have limits. The deeper we look, the clearer it becomes. Cancer in the ocean isn't just a disease of biology, but a reflection of our shared responsibility. The health of whales and dolphins mirrors the health of our planet and of ourselves. In the comfort of our homes, our pets live longer, safer lives than their wild ancestors ever could. Yet, beneath that security lies a modern paradox. Domestication, the very thing that protects them, may also make them more vulnerable to diseases like cancer. Dogs and cats share our lives, our habits, and increasingly, our diets. But this closeness comes at a cost. Studies show that pets exposed to secondhand smoke, air fresheners, household cleaners, and processed foods face elevated cancer risks. A dog's constant proximity to the floor exposes it to pesticide residues and dust-borne toxins. Cats, meticulous groomers, ingest these contaminants directly from their fur. What's more, many commercial pet foods, heavy in preservatives, artificial colors, and low-grade meat byproducts, may silently contribute to long-term cellular damage. Domestication changed more than behavior. It altered biology. Generations of selective breeding created breeds prone to genetic weakness. Golden retrievers, beloved for their loyalty, are heartbreakingly prone to lymphoma. Boxers often face mast cell tumors. Even small breeds like dachshunds can suffer from spinal cancers tied to inherited deformities. In our quest to perfect their appearance, we unintentionally weaken their resistance. Then there's diet, the cornerstone of health in every species. Wolves in the wild feast on fresh meat, organs, and bones rich in natural nutrients. Their descendants often eat dry kibble with more starch than protein. The difference isn't just nutritional, it's evolutionary. Over time, the body adapts or struggles to. Researchers are now exploring whether returning to more ancestral diets could reduce the risk of chronic inflammation and tumor growth. But hope lies in awareness. Modern veterinary nutrition, cleaner environments, and early screening are shifting the balance. The more we understand how our lifestyles shape theirs, the better we can protect them. When we think of cancer, we often picture rogue cells, multiplying without control. But deep beneath that biological chaos lies another invisible force: stress. In both humans and animals, chronic stress reshapes the body's inner chemistry, altering hormones, suppressing immunity, and creating the perfect storm for disease to take root. In the wild, stress has purpose. A zebra's heart races to escape a lion. A surge of adrenaline and cortisol floods the body, fueling survival. Moments later, calm returns and the system resets. But in captivity or domestic life, stress lingers. It becomes chronic. And when the body never fully recovers, the consequences begin to show. Dogs left alone too often, pacing in silence. Cats navigating territorial anxiety in small apartments. Elephants performing in circuses. Primates confined in research cages. Each endures stress not as a moment, but as a way of life. Studies in zoo animals show that constant stress suppresses immune surveillance, the body's ability to detect and destroy precancerous cells. Elevated cortisol levels can fuel inflammation, DNA damage, and even tumor growth. Stress doesn't just affect hormones. It alters behavior in ways that amplify disease risk. Anxious grooming in cats leads to skin lesions that can become infected. Overstressed parrots pluck their feathers until their skin bleeds. In livestock, overcrowding raises cortisol, so high it weakens disease resistance, paving the way for infections and metabolic disorders that may trigger abnormal cell growth. In contrast, animals in enriched environments, those with stimulation, space, and social bonds, show measurable drops in stress hormones. Dolphins that play, rats that explore mazes, and dogs that receive affection all display improved immune profiles. It's living proof that mental well-being and physical health are inseparable. And yet, this truth extends to us, too. How do scientists even find cancer in wild animals? It's not like a lion walks into a clinic or a whale schedules an MRI. Yet across jungles, oceans, and savannas, researchers are quietly uncovering one of nature's most elusive stories: how cancer exists and evolves in the wild. It often begins with observation. A biologist in the Serengeti might notice a hyena with an unusual lump, or a marine researcher spots a sea turtle with a strange growth. Samples are collected, sometimes from deceased animals, sometimes non-invasively from shed skin, feces, or hair. Each discovery is a clue in a global puzzle, revealing that cancer is not rare in nature. It's simply hidden. In the cold depths of the ocean, scientists from NOAA have documented fish with liver tumors linked to polluted sediments. In dense rainforests, primatologists track chimpanzees suffering from cancers similar to those in humans. Even in the frozen Arctic, necropsies on seals have shown lesions tied to chemical contamination. Every ecosystem tells its own version of the same biological tragedy. But studying cancer in wild populations isn't just about cataloging disease. It's about understanding evolutionary resilience. Some species, like elephants and whales, have developed extraordinary defenses, while others, like Tasmanian devils or certain bivalve mollusks, show how cancer can spread epidemically through populations. Researchers analyze these patterns to uncover how genetics, environment, and behavior intersect in the story of life and death. Field research also connects the dots between animal and human health. When cancer clusters appear in marine mammals, they often point to toxins that humans are exposed to as well. In that sense, every tumor found in a wild creature becomes a warning sign, a biological red flag from nature itself. And behind these discoveries stand scientists working in challenging, even heartbreaking conditions, tracking dying animals and performing autopsies. In homes across the world, cancer isn't just a human struggle. It's a battle faced by our closest companions. Every year, millions of pets are diagnosed with tumors, from golden retrievers with lymphoma to cats developing mammary cancers. Yet, behind each diagnosis stands a growing field dedicated to healing them: veterinary oncology. This branch of medicine has evolved dramatically. Not long ago, a cancer diagnosis in an animal often meant the end of the story. But today, thanks to advances in imaging, genetics, and targeted therapies, veterinarians can diagnose cancer earlier and treat it more effectively than ever before. Radiation machines, once reserved for human hospitals, now hum quietly in animal clinics. Dogs receive chemotherapy infusions, not to prolong suffering, but to restore quality of life. Some pets even undergo immunotherapy, harnessing their own immune systems to fight cancer cells, mirroring breakthroughs in human medicine. But beyond technology lies compassion. Veterinarians balance science with empathy, choosing treatments not just for survival, but for comfort, dignity, and time. In teaching hospitals, researchers study spontaneous cancers in pets to better understand how tumors grow and respond to therapy. The findings benefit both animals and humans, bridging the species gap in the fight against cancer. In this way, every treated pet becomes part of something larger, a shared scientific mission between species. Because in the battle against cancer, a wagging tail or a gentle purr can remind us what's truly at stake: life, love, and the will to keep going. When we think of space exploration, we picture astronauts, not mice, fish, or tiny worms. But animals were actually the first astronauts, sent to space decades before humans ever dared to go. And their missions didn't just test rockets. They became living experiments on how radiation and zero gravity affect life itself. High-energy cosmic rays constantly bombard everything beyond Earth's protective atmosphere. Unlike here on the ground, where our planet's magnetic field shields us, life in orbit is exposed to DNA-shattering radiation, the kind that can mutate cells and trigger rapid, aggressive cancers. Scientists at NASA and ESA have sent mice, zebrafish, fruit flies, and even jellyfish to orbiting labs aboard the ISS. These tiny travelers revealed how microgravity changes the way cells repair DNA damage, and how long-term exposure can cause the same mutations found in human tumors. In some studies, mouse stem cells developed abnormal growths after just weeks in microgravity. Others showed weakened immune systems, hinting that space radiation doesn't just cause cancer. It makes the body less able to fight it. But there's another side to this cosmic puzzle. Certain organisms, like the tardigrade, survive extreme radiation without lasting damage. By studying their resilient DNA repair systems, scientists hope to uncover natural blueprints for cancer resistance. Perhaps one day, helping humans travel farther and live longer, even beyond our planet. From Earth's jungles to orbit's void, the story of cancer stretches across worlds. Each animal, from an elephant on land to a mouse in zero gravity, teaches us that evolution's fight against cancer is truly universal. In the past, human and animal medicine were seen as separate worlds. But cancer, like most diseases, doesn't respect species boundaries. That's where the One Health approach comes in, a powerful idea that the health of humans, animals, and the environment are all deeply connected. Veterinarians, oncologists, and ecologists are now working side by side, studying how the same biological mechanisms drive tumors across species. When a golden retriever develops lymphoma, its disease behaves strikingly similar to human lymphoma. By studying it, researchers not only find better treatments for dogs, they uncover clues that save human lives, too. In fact, veterinary oncology clinics now serve as real-time research partners for human hospitals. Dogs with bone cancer, cats with oral tumors, and even ferrets with adrenal disease all contribute to what's known as comparative oncology, the science of treating animal and human cancers as two sides of the same coin. The connections run deeper than we once imagined. Pollution that poisons a river can trigger cancer in fish and later affect the people who drink the same water. Pesticides, microplastics, even urban light pollution all ripple through ecosystems, blurring the line between our health and theirs. And when one species adapts, like elephants evolving more tumor suppressor genes, or whales mastering slow cell division, nature offers a glimpse into future human medicine. Cancer, once thought to be a curse of human modernity, is now recognized as a shared biological struggle, one that has shaped life on Earth for millions of years. The One Health perspective reminds us, every cure we find in animals is also a cure for ourselves. And every harm we inflict on their world inevitably circles back to ours. Cancer isn't just a disease, it's a side effect of life itself. Every creature made of many cells faces a delicate paradox. Cells must divide to grow, to heal, to live, but that very process can go wrong. Evolution gave us the power to regenerate, but not the power to make it perfect. Across millions of years, nature has tested countless designs. Some species, like elephants, evolved extra tumor-suppressing genes. Others, like naked mole rats, developed special sugars that prevent cells from piling up uncontrollably. Yet, even with these defenses, no species has ever fully escaped cancer's reach. Why? Because evolution doesn't aim for immortality. It aims for survival, just long enough to pass on genes. Most animals in the wild die from predators, hunger, or disease long before cancer develops. So nature never faced strong pressure to eliminate it completely. Cancer, in a strange way, reveals evolution's blind spot, a flaw baked into life's blueprint. It's not a foreign invader, but a rebellion from within, a reminder that progress always comes with a price. But through studying cancer's presence across species, from fish to humans, from elephants to whales, scientists are discovering that the roots of cancer stretch all the way back to the dawn of multicellular life. It's a biological gamble that began the moment cells chose cooperation over chaos, and chaos has been trying to return ever since. Nature, the same force that gives rise to cancer, also hides its potential cures. In rainforests, coral reefs, and even the Arctic tundra, life has evolved chemical defenses far beyond anything humans could engineer. Each leaf, each sponge, each venomous bite tells a story of survival. And in those stories, we're finding molecules that fight cancer in ways modern medicine can only dream of. From the bark of the Pacific yew tree came Taxol, one of the most powerful anti-cancer drugs ever discovered. Once part of a tree's natural defense, now saving countless human lives. In the depths of the ocean, scientists found bryostatins inside marine sponges, compounds that can stop tumor cells from multiplying. Even snake venom, once feared, is being studied for its ability to starve tumors by cutting off their blood supply. Animals themselves are inspiring breakthroughs too. Sharks, whose immune systems are remarkably resilient, produce unique antibodies that can detect and neutralize rogue cells with precision. Elephants' extra tumor-suppressing genes are now being studied to help develop new therapies for humans. And the humble horseshoe crab's blue blood, long used to test for bacterial toxins, has guided researchers toward immune-based cancer treatments. The message is clear. The wild is not just a source of disease, but also a reservoir of hope. Every jungle vine, deep-sea sponge, or desert scorpion could hold a key, not just to animal survival, but to our own. Yet, as habitats disappear, so too might these undiscovered cures. The race to save nature may also be the race to save ourselves. What if we could rewrite the story of cancer, not just in humans, but across the entire animal kingdom? In the age of genetic engineering, that question is no longer science fiction. With tools like CRISPR, scientists can edit DNA with the precision of a word processor, deleting mutations, copying nature's best defenses, even importing cancer-resistant genes from one species to another. Elephants, for example, have around 20 copies of the tumor-suppressing gene P53, while humans have only one. Imagine inserting just a few of those extra copies into vulnerable animals, or even people. Mice with edited P53 sequences have already shown reduced tumor growth. In some labs, scientists are exploring how to mimic the DNA repair mechanisms of whales, who almost never develop cancer despite their size and lifespan. But this revolution isn't without danger. Rewriting DNA can have unpredictable consequences, altering immunity, fertility, or even behavior. A tweak meant to protect one species could destabilize entire ecosystems. That's why genetic engineering for cancer resistance remains on the frontier, full of promise and full of ethical landmines. Yet, there's no denying the potential. Imagine a future where pets could be bred with natural cancer immunity or livestock resistant to tumors caused by viruses and chemicals. Imagine endangered animals given a genetic shield to survive both disease and environmental stress. Every experiment brings us closer to understanding what evolution has crafted over millions of years, and perhaps how we can carefully guide it forward. Because in the end, the power to edit life itself may also be the power to end one of life's cruelest flaws. Behind nearly every cancer treatment humans celebrate, from chemotherapy to immunotherapy, lies a silent story written in fur, feathers, and scales. Animal testing has been both a foundation of medical progress and one of its greatest moral burdens. In laboratories around the world, mice are bred specifically to develop tumors, their genetics manipulated so scientists can watch cancer unfold in real time. Dogs and monkeys are used to test new drugs, radiation, and surgical techniques, their physiology often mirroring our own. It's through their suffering that we've learned how tumors grow, how metastasis begins, and how our immune system can sometimes turn the tide. But every discovery carries a haunting question. At what cost? Do we have the right to induce pain for the promise of saving lives? Even millions of them? Modern science is torn between gratitude and guilt. Ethical review boards now stand guard, and new technologies, from computer models to organ-on-a-chip systems, promise to replace animal testing altogether. Still, we cannot erase history. Countless animals, unnamed and unseen, have paved the way for human healing. The challenge for today's researchers isn't just to cure cancer, but to do it with compassion, innovation, and respect for all living beings. Because the true measure of our progress isn't just how far science can go, but how gently it gets there. When we think of threats to endangered animals, we imagine poaching, habitat loss, or climate change, not cancer. But for some species, tumors are the silent assassins striking from within. In Tasmania, the facial tumor disease ravaging devil populations isn't just a health crisis. It's an extinction-level threat. These cancers spread through biting, disfiguring the devils, robbing them of the ability to eat, and erasing entire colonies. On coral reefs, sea turtles are being found with grotesque fibropapillomatosis tumors, often linked to pollution and warming waters. Even beloved zoo animals, from big cats to dolphins, are facing rising cancer rates hidden behind the glass of captivity. Conservationists are realizing that cancer isn't only a medical problem, it's an ecological one. When one species suffers, ecosystems shift. A predator population weakened by disease can unbalance the food chain. A keystone animal, like a turtle, elephant, or whale, lost to cancer means an entire habitat can begin to collapse. Scientists are now blending conservation biology with oncology, a new frontier called wildlife cancer ecology. They study how human pollution, microplastics, pesticides, and even artificial light may be fueling tumors in the wild. The goal? To treat not just individuals but entire ecosystems. If cancer can strike across species, perhaps saving animals from it isn't just mercy, it's self-preservation. Because when the health of the planet declines, no species stands apart. Their survival is ours. In the battle against cancer, nature may hold the blueprint for victory. Scientists are discovering that the secrets to preventing, resisting, or even curing cancer could already exist, written in the biology of animals that have survived for millions of years. Elephants, for instance, carry dozens of copies of a powerful tumor-suppressing gene called P53. When one of their cells begins to malfunction, this gene orders it to self-destruct, preventing cancer before it ever begins. Naked mole rats, those small, wrinkled burrowers from East Africa, produce a unique sugar compound called hyaluronan that makes their tissues nearly immune to tumors. Whales, despite having billions more cells than humans, seem to have evolved biological quality control systems that detect and destroy damaged DNA faster than ours ever could. Even plants and marine life are inspiring breakthroughs. Compounds from sponges, coral, and rainforest leaves are being tested as anti-cancer drugs in labs today. Sharks, with their resilient immune systems, are helping researchers understand how evolution engineered disease resistance across time. But nature's lessons come with humility. Every species that resists cancer teaches us not only how to fight disease, but how life itself adapts to survive it. Instead of waging war against nature, we may need to learn from it. Because in the cells of animals that outlive and outlast disease, there's a message older than medicine itself. Survival through balance, not destruction. The more we listen to the wisdom of the wild, the closer we come to finding the cures we've been searching for within the living world that created us. Even after decades of research, one of nature's greatest puzzles remains. Why does cancer exist at all? If evolution favors survival, why do cells evolve to destroy the very bodies that sustain them? Scientists call it the paradox of life, that the same process allowing cells to grow, adapt, and heal also opens the door for them to rebel. Across the tree of life, every species carries this risk. From whales with billions of cells to tiny mice, from ancient reptiles to modern humans. Cancer emerges not as an accident, but as a shadow of complexity itself. The more advanced and long-lived an organism becomes, the greater the chance that something in its genetic code will misfire. Some animals have evolved brilliant defenses. Elephants with multiple copies of tumor-suppressing genes, naked mole rats with unique anti-cancer compounds, whales with ultra-stable DNA repair mechanisms. Yet none are completely immune. Cancer, in its strange way, may be the price of being multicellular, the cost of life organizing itself into billions of cooperating parts. And so, the mystery continues. Cancer is not just a disease of death, but a mirror into the deep logic of biology, how life grows, how it breaks, and how it endlessly tries to heal. Cancer isn't just a human story. It's a universal struggle shared by life itself. From Tasmanian devils battling contagious tumors, to elephants defying cancer with genetic superpowers, to tiny fish evolving resilience in polluted waters. Every creature faces its own version of this silent enemy. Yet, in their struggle lies our greatest hope. The natural world holds secrets, biological defenses, regenerative abilities, and genetic blueprints that could one day transform how we understand and defeat cancer, not just for humans, but for all living beings. Because when we study animals, we aren't just learning about them. We're discovering the deep biological truths that unite every form of life on Earth. So, if you believe that understanding nature can help save lives, both theirs and ours, join us. Like, subscribe, and share animal truths. The next episode continues the journey with the evolution of viruses, how life turned deadly. Together, we'll keep uncovering the untold mysteries of the living world.